I know that you spoke with quite a few conservatives in the video that you posted. Many of them saying that they haven't voted before, sort of implying that they didn't need to vote, but that now they will. Did you happen to talk to them about any of this voter suppression, the ballot drop-off location? You mentioned in the video that the way that you go about registering for vote is very archaic. Did that come up in your conversations with conservatives?
Not so much in Texas, just purely because actually we were there before that decision was made by the governor. So it wasn't really an issue that people were talking about back then. But certainly, I've just been in Georgia and been talking to people on both sides of the aisle about, rampant voter suppression that goes on in Georgia. And again, you kind of come into contact with the same sort of arguments that Republicans have been making for a very long time, which is all about, election security, talking about the idea of fraud, paranoia around mail-in voting, that sort of thing. Obviously, all of which is factually inaccurate. But yeah, I mean, those are the sort of talking points that you come into contact with really wherever you are in the country.
Exactly. The Democrats you talked to in Texas, especially the elected ones who are running, are they? I'm assuming they're genuinely worried about this voter suppression in the context of a pandemic. Limiting early voting and things like that seems especially toxic. What are the expectations about the effect that might have this November?
Well, I think if you look at past precedent, how close the gubernatorial race was in Georgia, for example, in 2018, where these rapidly evolving states in the South, like Georgia, like Texas, are being won by Republicans on increasingly thin margins. There is very real and valid concern that a state like Texas could be won by a much smaller margin by the Republican Party, for example, and that voter suppression could play a factor in that outcome. And I think when you look at races like the 24th congressional district, where this could be incredibly, incredibly close, it's only reasonable to think that this sort of effort to stymie the democratic process and to stop people from casting their ballot could have a real effect on democracy.
Yeah. I know we were speaking before the interview that you have follow-up reporting that's going to be coming out soon. Can you give us a little bit of a preview of what we can expect?
Sure. So the series that I'm doing is a series called Anywhere But Washington, which is the Guardian's kind of multimedia series looking at the election from all different parts of the country. So our first episode was in Florida. The second episode that you mentioned is in Texas. We have an episode that's coming out this week, which will be out, I'm sure, by the time this airs, in Georgia. And we're going to other various swing states. And the idea behind this series is to try and sort of stay away from the presidential campaign trail. We're not following any of the presidential candidates, but we're trying to get out into communities, look at some of these down ballot races, speak to people that aren't often spoken to during a presidential election period, and really see if we can detect any sort of changes that are going on in the electorate. And so in Georgia, as I mentioned, we've been doing some stuff with a few down ballot candidates. We spoke to a woman called Ebony Carter, who is a 25-year-old first-time candidate who is running in Georgia's 110th state legislature district. And she was a really interesting, as I mentioned, first-time candidate who's out there. Her campaign manager is her mum. She goes out canvassing with her 1.5-year-old daughter and is running in a seat that Democrats haven't even contested since 2012. And that to me was a real insight into, I think, the appetite that is existing all over this country for more and more people to get involved in democracy and to run for seats that maybe Democrats haven't considered running for before. We also spent some time with a congressional candidate called Angela Stanton King, who is running in John Lewis's old congressional seat. She's a Republican. She has almost no chance of winning, but we pressed her pretty hard on her views about QAnon. So she is one of those candidates in Georgia, and there are more than one, unfortunately, who have put out on social media posts that seem to be suggesting that they are supportive of QAnon. And so we got into a bit of back and forth with her on that particular issue. She walked out of the interview. She didn't like being asked about her public record. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the really confronting things that I have seen throughout this journey in all the states we've been to is a very sort of pervasive level of disinformation that is going on all over the place. So we can talk about that in Florida as well. We did a film that was very focused on attitudes to the coronavirus pandemic and just kind of saw a lot of false conspiracy theories being spread around, how lethal coronavirus could be, really questioning the official number of deaths that exist in the country now, And seeing how pervasive that is, particularly amongst conservative circles, has been really, really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, wow. Love your reporting. Don't envy you having to have direct exposure to those ideas. Even consuming them secondhand has been rough so far this year. But really appreciate the reporting you're doing. In any year, the presidential race tends to take up all the oxygen in the room. That might even be more so this time. But there's so many interesting races going on in states across the country. Everybody should definitely check out on The Guardian this continuing work. And Oliver Lachlan, would love to have you back on, as we get closer to the election to talk about some more of your reporting.
Love to. Thanks so much.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.